Hi, it's Sandy Parker and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to be covering a Dollar Tree writing tablet and making a pocket. I hope you'll stay tuned. So I'm going to take this 5 3/4 inch by 8 3/4 inch writing tablet. I've already put a little bit of tear tape on the front. I'm going to also put a little bit of wet glue on there just to make sure that I'm able to move it around. I've also put tear tape across the top. And I cut my paper to 5 3/4 inches. It was a 12 by 12. It's a 12 by 12 piece of paper. I cut it so that each of these pieces is 5 3/4 inches across, and it's still 12 inches. So I think I'm going to use this side. I kind of like the polka dot side too, but I like this side better. I'm just saying. And then I want to score it. It says it's 5 3/4 inches, or excuse me, 8 3/4 inches tall, but mine is a little bit off. So I'm going to score mine. This is 8 3/4 inches on my scoreboard. I'm going to score it one past that because when I did it at 8 3/4, it wasn't long enough. And then I'm going to score it so that would be, I need to still do a 1/4 inch, so I want to do right there. So I'm going to do 9 1/8 then as my second one. So 8 7/8 and 9 1/8, and hopefully this time my scores are right. Had a little trouble with that the first time, I'll be honest with you, because I should have measured it myself. That's the thing about buying things at the Dollar Tree. You have to make sure that you measure them because their measurements aren't always accurate. In fact, most times they're off by just a little bit. And so, you know, in this case, I want to make sure I tell you that so that you don't run into troubles like I just did. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my two scores. That is much better. It fits way better. I don't know if you can see that, but it's fitting it perfectly. So those are the right measurements, at least on mine. Yours might not be. Then I'm going to take the backing off. I'm also going to use wet glue so that it gives me some wiggle room, even though I shouldn't need any wiggle room because I have it wrapped around the top. Since it doesn't want to stick to the tablet, we're going to have it stick to the paper. Got to have it stick to something, right? We need to have that edge have some adhesion to it. And then I'll also add wet glue just in case this lets go, and I think it probably will. And then I'm going to put some more tear tape on the back so we can keep the back adhered as well. Then I'm going to get my wet glue and just put a little bit of wet glue on that back part and on that center piece, and then just to make sure that we can move this if we have to. Okay, here's how you do it. Get this other piece of paper out of the way for now. And then we're going to take our paper. Oh, can't do that. And we're going to take it and line up that first score on that edge if we can. Then our back is where we're going to put our other piece, and this piece is the part that's going to have a little pocket on it, and it's going to go like that. So we're going to put a little bit of glue on the edge flap instead of on the other part. Okay, that's this piece. And then we're going to put some tear tape on the back of this. All the way to the top, because that paper should go all the way to the top. line it up with the bottom. You see on this side, I have my edge of my pad is sticking out a little bit. That's because it's not even and straight. So we'll just trim that off. Like I said, when you buy things from the Dollar Tree, you sometimes are going to get uneven edges, and we don't want to have our project look uneven. I'm going to line this with another piece of paper, I think, because this paper got a little damaged from the project. Okay. So now I think let's play and do something fun on the front. Maybe we'll make a little envelope that we could put things in on the front. So I think I'll get my envelope scoreboard and we'll find a measurement of something like that's 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 maybe. Okay, we're going to go with 5 by 5 1/2. So our paper needs to be cut to 8 3/4. So I cut out my envelope. It's a 5" by 5" envelope. I did it with my We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board. And then I thought it looked, if I used the green polka dot, I didn't love it. And then I thought, well, if I use this side, it blends in too much with this. But then I came up with an idea, and here's my idea. I'm going to take Distress Oxide Spice Marmalade. I've already practiced to make sure it matched. And I'm just going to go around the edges of my envelope. And that way my envelope won't look exactly like the background. It'll look a little bit different. So that was my thinking, that, this way my project will stick out a little bit more, or this part of the project will stick out a little bit more. Oh, and I'm also going to do a Post-it note pad. Same thing. I'll give you the dimensions in a second, but I want to do the same around the edges of the front of it, just so it sticks out a little bit. It doesn't blend in completely with the background. Okay, so here's our envelope, and I'm going to just take some wet glue, and I'm going to glue just under this little flap, right like that. And I'll hold it for a second. And then I'm going to put a little bit of, hopefully I'm in frame, I'm going to put a little bit of glue down the sides, like that. But before I do anything else, I'm going to take my pokey tool. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to poke a hole. I have this little foam block, and I'm going to poke a hole in the center right like that. And before I lay it down, I'm going to take my little brads that are also probably missing in action. Here it is. And these little circles, I have one little circle of orange paper. I'm trying to figure out which side I like better. That side's better. And I'm going to put that in here. So here's what we're going to do. We've got this hole, and we've got our brad in our little circle, and I've got some twine. You don't want to use really thick twine for this, because it's really hard to get thicker twine to stay in your to stay behind your brad, in my opinion. So I'm just wrapping it around like 3 times, and I'm going to cut off the excess so it doesn't stick out, hopefully there, so it doesn't stick out from my back of my brad. And then I'm just going to push it in and hold that down like that, and that, and then we'll hold. I've already put glue. Well, I need to put more glue because it dried. I put some glue on this already, and now I'm going to put a little bit more glue. Put some glue up here. Make sure that the brad part stays. And then, oh, that's up too high. Jeepers, I'm just not doing well with this project. We're going to have to move this down a little bit. Hopefully you won't be able to see it in the new spot. There. No one's going to see it. And then I can always cover up that little boo-boo. This is my project for myself, so I don't think anybody's going to have to worry about how it looks, right? Okay. And so then we're going to put another one of our little holes up here, trying to make it directionally about right like that. I'm going to just put a little dot right there, and then I'm going to put a bigger hole there. And we're going to get another of our little circles and our little brads, and I'll put that through there. This one's not nearly as complicated as the first one. And then you're just going to make sure. I should have, before I put that hole in the first time, I should have closed this to see where it was going to lay, but I didn't, because, you know, I don't do things like that. Okay, so then all you're going to do is you're going to take your twine. This will loosen up over time, and I probably shouldn't have made my brad so tight, but that is how you make your envelope. And so then all we need to do is put it on the front of this, and then at the top, my thinking is that I would have another Post-it note pad, not just paper, but Post-it notes. And I'm going to take some of them off because I think it's a little bit too thick. And then I'm just going to wrap a paper around it. My Post-it note pad is 3 inches by 3 inches, and I tore some of it off, so I had to make this a little bit smaller. I'm going to take a little bit more off because my scores aren't correct. So what I did was I started out with 3 inches by, let's say, 6 1/4 inches, because this is a 1/4 inch wide. So then you're going to make a score at 3 inches and 3 1/4 inches, and then you're ready to go. So we need to, the only thing I need to do now is I just need to trim this and attach it to our project. And you can do all kinds of things with pads, but I like playing with things like this. I just think it's so much fun to come up with ideas of what to do with paper and how to make notepads that I keep in the kitchen more useful, and have more ideas about what to do with them. I don't know. I'm just saying. That's why I like to do this kind of stuff, because it's just fun for me. So this again is 6 1/4 inches long and 3 inches across. It's going to be scored at 3 inches and 3 1/4 inches. And then it's going to be glued right there. And then our envelope, move that up a little bit, and then our envelope is going to be glued right there. That way, if we need to take anything out of the envelope, we can. And I'm just gonna use wet glue to put this on the front of this, because that way it'll stay no problem, and it'll be handy. Okay, so I'm gonna put that really close to the bottom, like right to the bottom, like maybe 1/16 of an inch from the bottom. That's the only way we have enough room for our other notepad. So then we're going to put glue on the back of this one. And now it's extremely versatile because all the things it'll do. But it also makes me think that I need to run that orange around the edge, because I kind of like the look of it now that I put it in some of the places. I just think I want a little bit more of it because I like it. And this paper is an old Stampin' Up! Designer Series paper. I really like their paper. It's expensive, but I like buying it from Split Coast Stampers once it's been discontinued. You know, the people that work for Stampin' Up! After things are discontinued sell them on Split Coast Stampers, and they sell it at a discount, so you can always get discontinued things really inexpensive that way. And that makes me happy because I like that kind of stuff and I like a bargain. I think this needs something fun too. I don't know what though. Got to think of something to put on that. I could put a button there or a brad. Maybe I'll just put one of those little blue brads there just for the heck of it, huh? This will hold it down, the weight of it. You know, it'll just weight it down a little bit. I'm going to go toward the center. Little hole in there. What I don't like sometimes about these brads is that they are already kind of sprung, so it's hard to get them through that little hole because they're already open a little bit. I'm gonna have to turn this around because clearly I'm inept. I need to put some more wet glue right there. And my little pad, just to make sure it stays closed. I think that little brad does add a little bit to it, even though you can't see it as well as you know, if it was a different color you could see it better, but I do kind of think it looks pretty. So there is our project for the day. It's a notepad. It's got, on the back, it's got a little pocket that you can do things with. And in the front, it's got Post-it note and an envelope to hold more things. I hope you enjoyed this, that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please tell your friends about me on social media because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.